Every few years Apple decides to pull down apps and games that have not received an update for a few years. In my case, that's about 12 games that I need to update now, or they're gone. No, well, not forever until I actually update them, but it's about time. I've been delaying this for a long time for a couple of reasons that I'll get into after the intro. Hey, I'm Pascal from Orangepixel. Welcome to another video that will cover a couple of days in hopes that I can actually get all my iOS games back online. Okay, the problem is two different things. Software-wise, I have to update all my tool sets, my tool projects and all those things. Just all the versions have to be updated and hopefully everything still compiles and builds. I'm very confident on that part. Might require a few code changes here and there in almost all my games, but I'm confident I can make it happen. My biggest problem, however, all this time, and the reason I haven't started doing this, is I needed my MacBook. First, let me dig it out so we can actually continue. It has to be around here somewhere. Okay, found it. Yeah. Okay, so this is my MacBook and it's a bit old. It's 10 years old now. It's a MacBook 2015. It's perfectly fine. It has some scratches and some usage marks, but it's perfectly fine hardware-wise, except Apple's whole policy, I think, is to only support devices like this for an X amount of years. After that, it's not getting the new OS version, not the new Mac OS version. So the best this can officially do is run macOS 12. And I think we are on macOS 15 now. That's a lot of versions, a lot of changes. Worst thing, Xcode, the tool I need to build my Mac versions or my iOS versions, Xcode only runs, you guessed it, on the latest macOS. Not because it's technically impossible to run it on other stuff, but just because Apple wants it that way. So you need to update to the latest macOS. For that, you would officially have to buy a new Mac. Even though your old Mac is perfectly fine, as a developer, you're screwed. Unless there is another option. I got pointed to this tool called OpenCore. Somebody on the Discord mentioned this. This is a pretty nifty little thing that just fools everything so that your Mac can download the latest Mac OS. I tried this and it magically just actually works. So it took me an afternoon to get it up and running, but it is running. Mac is back alive. It's now on macOS 15, latest version. Also installed latest Xcode version. And I can actually build games again. I have an old iPad. That's another issue. I managed to update it to iOS 15. iOS is currently at 18, I think. So it's older. It's not the latest iOS, but I can still install games on it. So I can still use it for testing. I'll eventually buy like a second-hand iPad of a few years old that runs iOS 17 or something, just to keep updated a little bit. I don't use my iPads except for testing stuff. So for now, that's enough. If I have new builds and I need to test it on iOS 18, I can always ask somebody to test it for me who has an iPhone or an iPad or something. That's not the big issue. The biggest one was getting the Mac up and running. And now that it's up and running, I plan on spending this week porting and updating all my games and projects and building new iOS releases, so that we have all those games available again. So let's see if we can manage to do that by the end of the week. Okay, so let's focus a little bit on this whole production studio I have now set up. This is crazy. Main screen, this is where I do most of the work, all the code stuff. I'll get into that in a minute. Also uploading things to the App Store, screenshots, these preview images. This one for Space Grunts is right now processing. weird resolutions. Tedious part of this, that some of these games just need to get new screenshots, new images, and there's various differences that you need to upload, and in the iPad version, yeah, I don't like that part of it, but it has to be done. So the Mac now up and running. I can actually build versions here. I try to only build the iOS version and do all the code work on the normal PC Windows version. But every now and then I need to tweak some things, fine-tune it, and then test it on the iPad, which is connected. And then when it's done, we upload it to the App Store, and then over here we can finalize that. Here I'm doing all my file management. And of course, to not go crazy, I have my Discord open with that. So let's start on the next game, Heroes of Loot 2. We start on the Windows version, downloading the current version. I have it all on Bitbucket. Let's download a copy to my local hard drive and start updating it. Okay, so Bitbucket, let's dive into Heroes of Loot. Let's download it from version control. And then it's just a matter of waiting for that to happen. And this is what I've been doing a lot. Waiting for computers to do their thing, and then it's really a matter of cleaning up some files and updating all the install things. So I have Meganoid open here as well. That's a project that I've done already. It has all the right settings, so we're just really gonna copy and paste as much as possible. Of course, changing names here and there. That's the Gradle. Gradle is an interesting system. I wasn't really liking it, to be honest, but the more I've been using it, because libgdx use it, the more I understand what's happening. And now that I've been diving into all of this so much, yeah, it's becoming second nature. I know what to look for. I know when things go wrong, why they are going wrong. So that's a big help as well. Now, some of my game files are like very old, and that usually over time means there are files like these, ClassPad and project. I think this was from when I was using Eclipse to develop my games, probably, not sure, but they're not needed anymore. But files like this will linger on forever if you don't clean it at some point. And you rarely clean it, because once a game is out there, you only push tiny updates, and it's usually not something you want to do and just dive into all the details and the stuff. 38141, here I have to make sure this is 38141. So you prefer not to update those little things, but over time, over many years, it can get very messy. Okay, so these are the project files. Now there are always, or usually in all my games, a couple of things I already need to upgrade and update anyway, so I'm trying to do those as well before I start building, because I'm pretty confident I can fix these things beforehand already. One of those is the input. libgdx now has much better controller support, so all my old code can be destroyed and removed, which is on one hand a very good thing. On the other hand, it requires me to update a lot of code always, and yeah, that's just part of it, I guess. Right now I'm just focused on getting iOS versions out there, but this also means I can do fresh builds for PC. Some of my games really need an update there. I can also do fresh builds for Android. I'm certain that's going to come up at some point, because Google is also pushing all the games out of the market unless they get an update. So at some point in time, I will also have to do new versions of those. All right, rebuild. Now, while I'm waiting for all that to happen, I also am gonna need a new icon. We remove a bunch of things. Oh, that's the old switch version. All right. And we export it. And luckily I found a great little tool online that actually allows me to quickly generate all the icons required for the iOS version. And it's a lot. 13 different sizes for the iPad, 11 different sizes for iPhone. It's crazy. Let me move this over here so you can actually see. We also need to have all the new data. Now, these are things for iOS. They include a little startup logo, and then of course all the icons and a launcher setup. Bring in the new icons for all these resolutions and sizes. It's crazy, but it's done. And then the next step is going through some of the code that I already know is needing some changes. Google Play, the leaderboard achievement stuff from Google, that is continually changing, especially in projects that are 10 years old. This code has been rechanged so many times. Also, GDX has been improved, so input stuff needs a little updating, but I've been keeping track of most things. So luckily that's just a few tiny bugs and things I ran into, and I run into these with every project, so it's fairly easy and fairly quickly to fix them now that I've done various ones. Then there is of course also the App Store that also has its own achievements. Steam has its own achievement, and all these APIs and SDKs need a little code change. Of course, if you're using Unity or something, these changes also happen, you just don't know it because Unity is probably, I'm guessing, fixing those things on their end. You can just tap into that. But if you're not using pre-made engines, you have to be on top of these things yourself. But a few minutes later we got everything fixed and we should be able to run the game. Skip. We have a playable version. All right, this is a trap. Getting into my own games. We have a version. I'm gonna push all the changes I made to Bitbucket so we can actually download it on the Mac and hopefully run it on the iPad. So on the Mac we now grab Heroes of Loot and then we download it. And in the meantime I'll open up the Heroes of Loot 2 on the App Store and see what's needed. New version. This needs a bunch of screenshots. This needs screenshots, and this as well. And of course the app previews, which are very weird tiny little videos that I have to create and build and see where it aborts or crashes, and then hopefully we'll be able to send it over to the iPad. So while the Mac does a bunch of things, I'll try to get these screenshots up and running on Windows. Meanwhile, this is building stuff and it should be pushing it to the iPad without errors. And it actually does it in one go, which is awesome. That means the game is fully playable. I can now push it to the App Store and it's now actually faster than I am because I still have to create all these screenshots. But the game is playable, it's up and running. Let's push it. And for pushing the build we use yet another tool, which is the Transporter, Apple's tool to upload games and have them tested and checked to the App Store. Package successful, so we should now be able to add a new version. Let's upload it and let's get all the other stuff done like screenshots and little videos. Screenshots are just a bunch of resized images, making them look as good as possible. Then the app preview is a short little snippet out of the game trailer. Make it fit in 30 seconds, cut it off at the right spot and make it look kinda good. And now it's Friday and I just pushed the last two games. Meganoid 2, a very classic oldie, I think 2010, around that time. And also pushed a version of Gunslugs, which was still live on the App Store, but at some point I seem to have messed up the controls for keyboards and gamepad, so I had to update that project. It took a little bit more work, so I pushed it as the last one, but it's now fully updated, working on all platforms, and we pushed it live to the iOS store, which means that for the next 3, hopefully 4, maybe 5 years, I will not have to push new updates to these games. Hopefully. Was it worth it? We'll see. I was still making roughly on average $75 on the App Store every month. That's not a lot of money, but over the years it accounts for a good amount of extra money from games that are now 13 years old or up to 13 years old. Some of them are maybe, the youngest would be Residual. I think it's 4 years old now. So yeah, over the years these games are still making money. Now that I have a whole collection available again, we can start doing discounts. So by the time this video goes live on Thursday, I'm fairly sure that all the games are available on a discounted price. If you have an iPhone or iPad, check them out. Also, did a little fun experiment for myself to finish off this week because I had a very busy week but very productive. Let me show you. Okay, so this is my iPad and we now have all these games all back alive on the App Store. But you might also notice this one over here. Gauntlet of Power running on the iPad. My most recent game only just released on Switch last week. If you have missed that episode, check last week's video because that was a whole thing. But I plan to release it on Android and iOS later this year, probably. It's already running. I still need to fix certain things here and there, but most of it is running except for things like this that don't fit on the screen. Also the iPad, it's a weird resolution square thing, so it squeezes everything. It's not a normal resolution proportion, so the only real bug I ran into is the upgrade screen doesn't fit, but everything else works and is playable. Also with controller, not just touchscreen. But yeah, everything up and running. Fun little experiment. I'm gonna prepare this game to make sure it's ready on the App Store to release someday. Okay, I had a lot of fun working on all these games, getting the project back up and running. Actually, I had fun. I wasn't expecting that, but it was a lot of fun. I just have to schedule these things and really make time for it, and then nothing else happens this week except focus on these games. The result's pretty cool. Now let's see if we can actually do some extra revenue by doing discounts and sales and all that, and make sure we make back the Apple payment we do every year, because releasing games on iOS costs you $99 a year to be a licensed developer. I think it's the only one that actually charges you annually. Google Play has a fee that's one time $50, I think. I paid it many years ago, so not sure what the current rate is, but it's once. Steam will allow you to become a developer for free. The only cost is $100 to upload a new game, but you get that $100 back once your game breaches $1,000, I think, in revenue. So then you actually get that back. So it's free as long as you don't just dump junk on there, but actual games that sell. So yeah, Apple is the only one that charges you and keeps charging people. I think I mentioned this earlier in the video. I don't like their practices and how they... I know it's about making money and everybody should be allowed to make money, but we don't always have to make more and more and more. Enough should be enough at some point. And it doesn't seem that enough is enough for certain companies and people, sadly. Anyway, let's not dive into political stuff. Let's just end the video here. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to drop a comment and you have nothing to say after all of this I just showed you, and you just still need something to show your appreciation for the video and help it push the algorithm of awareness, then drop in the comments the word banana, just to sting Apple a little bit. And that's it for this week's video. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye. Also, been recording most of this on a new camera, because the sound problem on my old camera needed fixing, and to fix it I have to send it away, which can take 2, 3, 4 weeks, and I need to record videos. So cheaper camera, but I think I have it set up all perfectly so that it's actually quality, sort of. See you next week.